What is up, everybody? It's me.
We're back.
Your favorite son. Let me, by the way, chat, let me know how the audio is. I completely forgot to test our audio this week, so let me know if anybody's too quiet or too loud. But, before we get into things this week, I just wanted to say we talk a lot about how this show, how important it is, how it's how we're constantly being silenced, how they're using the system against us to take us down and destroy us.
Yeah, that's pretty much the only thing we talk about on the stream.
That's really it. That's the core of our show at the end of the day. And I just want to say, this show wasn't supposed to happen tonight.
Sure.
This show wasn't supposed to happen. Because once again, they tried to take Evan out.
The eyes wide shut from Freemasonic Illuminati were plotting on me with the HARP device.
Weather machines. They've got it all, folks. They can send inclement weather your way. But you know what? We made it through. We're here because that's what we do. We always win. We always win.
Yeah, they utilized their HARP machine to send it after me, but it didn't work.
Didn't work.
You guys didn't see it, but things were done performatively to send that storm away.
In the background, we have our own devices. We have our own capabilities to say no.
We were making moves.
Yeah. So we're back, of course. As always, my co-host, Evan Prince.
That's me.
We got a lot to talk about today. Big week in gaming. We're going to get into the state of play. There was a Sony PlayStation state of play. Revealed some big things. One of the big things, Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver 1 and 2 Remaster.
I can hardly believe it. How long have we been talking about this on the stream?
I mean, we called it. We're here. We were there first.
And they were saying it was clickbait.
They were saying it was clickbait. They were saying you're wrong. They were saying you're never going to get it. They were saying you're hope maxing. And we were saying, no, this is the truth, because that's the only thing we provide.
This wasn't copium. We weren't on copium, but we were hope maxing, but it was fact based. This is science-based hope maxing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so state of play, we're going to go over that, our sort of reactions to some of the reveals. We're going to talk about, there was just briefly touch upon the Metal Gear Hotline that they did at TGS and the new trailer that they showed off for Delta. And another interesting thing I wanted to talk about was the that bill that's getting sent to Congress in California. One. Yeah, so a bill
very interesting
about consumer rights. So we'll get to that as well, and some other things along the way. But before we get to all that, don't forget to like the stream if you enjoy.
Absolutely, like the stream. Listen, if you don't like the stream, I don't know what's going to happen to us. The abilities that we have to send back the storms from the HARP machine come directly from your likes.
If you don't support the show, we will be hit with inclement weather that may or may not cease us existing.
Yeah, we need the likes. If you aren't liking, we harness our power from the likes.
They're trying to take us down, man.
You've seen it over and over again.
So like the stream. You can support the show with super chats if you'd like. If not, just sit back, enjoy the ride. Evan, how was your week?
pretty good. My girlfriend and I sat down and watched Law Abiding Citizen last night. You ever seen that?
Is that Gerard Butler?
It is.
Yes. Is that Jamie Foxx?
It is. It's Jamie Foxx.
Yes.
Jamie Foxx and Gerard Butler.
I remember
It
that
seems like a movie that you would hate. Did you?
I think I saw it when it came out, but I don't remember much about it.
It's kind of like a vigilante power fantasy at first, but then it descends into like, nah, he's just a psychopath terrorist.
Okay.
But it's one of those fun movie examples where the critical rating is awful, but the audience score is like super high. I think it had like a 20 something like critic score on Rotten Tomatoes, but it had like a 78 or something like that audience score. So it's like critics hated it, but audiences loved it. And I always love movies like that.
Yeah. Those are usually the best of the bunch right there.
Yeah. I love movies like that. I thought it was a lot of fun. It was short. It's under 2 hours, you know. I think it's an hour and 40 something minutes after credits. So it's a quick little thing. I thought it was great. I thought it was very fun.
I watched this week kind of the opposite of that movie. Have you ever seen
Tubi?
Fox? No, it was not Tubi. I did not get a chance to watch a Tubi movie this week, unfortunately. So my week did suffer because of that. I watched Foxcatcher. Have you ever seen that?
Never even heard of it, man.
It was a movie that came out in like 2015 or something. It was Steve Carell, Channing Tatum, and Mark Ruffalo, and it's like a real story. Yeah, it's like a real story that happened with this this wrestling team called the Foxcatcher Wrestling Team.
I'm a Channing Tatum fan. He's
pretty good.
Was raised in a town just like an hour north of the town I was raised in.
Ooh, hometown hero.
Yeah, he's a Mississippi boy. Obviously, I live in Florida now, but I'm from Mississippi, and he's one of the few Mississippi-born celebrities. Him and I believe Morgan Freeman.
There's not many.
No, very, very few, and for a reason. Mississippi is a swamp, but it is cool. I always have a weird, like, irrational attachment to Channing Tatum. I'm like, oh, that's one of us. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's one of
he
our
made
guys.
it out of the swamp.
Yeah, straight from the swamp. Yeah, it was pretty good though. I hadn't seen it in a long time. I really remember it being super good. It wasn't as good as I remember. It was a little too, you know when a movie is kind of too into itself a little bit, and it just
I know exactly what you mean.
It just takes a while, you know.
It insists upon itself, as Family Guy says.
Yeah. It was. So it was a little bit, but it wasn't bad or anything. I think it was good. I've been trying to watch more movies lately because I really do miss watching a lot of movies. I just haven't had time. I just don't really have time to sit down and watch a 2 or 3 hour movie, you know?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. It's rough to find that kind of time.
But I need to make some time. I've been getting in the mood. It's starting to become fall, starting to become scary time of the year.
Cozy time.
And my October tradition is X-Files.
You just rewatch X-Files every October?
Yeah, it's great. It's just, it feels like it fits the season. You know, it's a little scary. It's not scary, but it's a little
bit
scary.
Cozy.
Yeah, it's a little cozy. It's a little comfy. So I need to make some time to watch X-Files. Damn.
I have never seen X-Files.
You've never seen an episode?
No.
Dude, that seems like right up your alley.
That's what I've heard. I've never had the time to dedicate to, how many seasons are there? Isn't it like a huge show?
There's like 7, but it's a, the way it's an old 90s show format. So it's mostly monster of the week. And then like the last couple episodes and the first few episodes of each season will tie into the overall canon. There will be some here and there that tie in, but like
is it one of those like 20 episode seasons or like 10 episode seasons?
It's like 20 episode seasons, but that's why it's so easy to watch, is because it's like you can stop watching it for 6 months and come back and catch a few episodes, and then it's like nothing happened. That's why it's so nice, because you can just throw on any episode and most of them are self-contained. You just need to know that Mulder's the guy that
Yeah.
believes in the stuff, and Scully
I'm
doesn't.
familiar with it on a pop culture basis to like kind of have an understanding of like how it plays out.
Yeah, I watched a lot of it as a kid. It was so it's a little nostalgic for me.
Yeah, the TV, we talked about this a couple days ago. The TV show I've been on is Dexter recently, which you are not a fan of, right?
Not really, no. I don't
'Cause
think
it-
it's the
it's-
worst thing in the world. I just don't. It's not my bag, you know.
Yeah, I've been getting a kick out of it from probably not the way that the show is intending,
Mm-hmm.
if that makes sense. Like I'm enjoying it from a perspective that the show probably didn't consider. But yeah,
Okay, interesting.
yeah, I think it's funnier than I think it is interesting.
Yeah, if that's the way you're watching it, I can definitely see that. It's a goofy show for sure.
It is goofy. I love it though. Like when it takes itself seriously, I think it's endearing and fun. But I also think parts of it are the way that they write that character is kind of unintentionally comedic, and I get a kick out of it. But yeah, I've been liking it. I always love when he talks about his dark passenger.
Yeah,
I love that.
It goes pretty downhill after the first few seasons, if I remember.
Oh, is that right?
correctly.
I'm only
Yeah.
on 2.
I think so. If I remember correctly, I think it's like season 4 or 5 or something.
Not a good sign because there's 7 of them.
Yeah.
I think it might be 8 of them.
I can't exactly remember. It's been a while since I watched it, but I do
Yeah,
remember there was a.
I'm trying to get through the whole series and then watch that fucking reboot and then watch the other reboot when it
Yeah,
comes out.
They're doing another one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's. Oh, I did want to say, I talked to you about this a little bit, but I've been playing a shit ton of UFO 50.
Right. Yeah. You were talking about that.
Yeah, this game just came out. It's been in development for forever. A bunch of different developers made it, or a few. I think it's like 5 or 6. And they had previously developed indie games like Spelunky was one of them. I wasn't really familiar with the other ones listed. And they started developing this game called UFO 50 that was kind of in the spirit of Action 52, if you've ever heard of that. Just a collection of 50 different games in one package. And they're all retro games in like 32-bit style. And it's just so damn good. Like there is, if you want to talk about games with value, like there's not a better deal out there right now than paying $30 for literally 50 games that are not like, they're not like 10-minute experiences, you know?
Right. Yeah.
They're full games that, like, to beat them, it's going to take you at least a few hours, you know? There's like a few turn-based RPGs in there. There's a lot of like platformers, beat 'em ups. There's a game I've been playing a shit ton. I think it's called Legends of Disconia or something.
Legends of Disconia.
I think it's something like that. And
It's a hell of a name.
It's like, it's discs. Like you have discs on this board and they're all like different soldiers, and you have to shoot your discs into other people's discs, and it does damage and you can bounce them off each other. It's like half strategy game, half like something else. I don't know, but it's really interesting. There's a lot of cool games in there that don't feel like they have a ton of inspiration. Like it's not like, oh, this is another beat 'em up. There's a ton of games that feel just completely original. So I would highly recommend.
I was looking at
checking
some
it out.
screenshots of that. It looks crazy. It looks like there's such an eclectic variety.
Yes, yeah. There's a game that everybody's been talking about called Mortal, which is just a regular platformer, but you play a guy that can, let's say, end his own life in 3 different ways. He can either like dive into a wall, and when you do this, your body stays there, and then another one comes out and you play the new one. So you dive headfirst into a wall to create a platform that you can jump up on, or you turn yourself into stone to, like, you know, make a platform for some spikes, or you can blow yourself up to like take out enemies. That's a really ingenious idea that I think is really cool. And you only have so many lives. You gotta.
That was my question. Is do you have a certain amount of lives?
Yeah, you start with a certain amount, and then you can like pick up more lives throughout. But yeah, that game, UFO 50, check it out. Really, really cool. I've been getting having a ton of fun with it lately.
You gonna do a video on it?
I was thinking about putting it into an indies video in the future. I have about 5 or 6 at this point that I've been playing. that I think, I have enough footage for and like a good idea of to be able to put in, but I need, like 4 more or something. All right, well, let's get into recent happenings. Yeah. So we should probably just start with the first thing. The biggest thing was the
Legacy of Kain.
Yeah, the state
Soul
of play.
Reaver.
Yeah.
Soul Cleaver.
Soul Cleaver. So there was a PlayStation state of play this week. And just to give some context for the situation, we've been covering sort of the rumblings and the revival of the Legacy of Kain franchise on this show
for months now.
Yeah, for quite a long time. Because there just has been so many little things and rumors and stuff. And now, of course, for years there's been rumors of, I remember 3 or 4 years ago, there was rumors of a Soul Reaver remaster or something. But this time, as of recently, there was a Kickstarter campaign for a graphic novel that went amazingly.
Mm-hmm. Super well, insanely well, actually.
Yeah, 1.1 million, I think they made. And there was leaks of a remaster for Soul Reaver 1 and 2 at a convention with a statue that was being shown off of Kain and Raziel.
And you ordered one of those, right? Which one did you get?
I did not, actually. So those were just being shown off there, and they came out or were available for pre-order this week after the remaster announcement. I did not order a statue because I have spent too much money on Legacy of Kain merch as of recently, so I need to reel it in a little bit. But yeah, so it was sort of leaked with this statue. People were wondering about that. Then there was more rumors coming out, all this stuff, and finally, these things were all confirmed at the most recent state of play.
That's right.
Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver 1 and 2 remaster was
just a second. Let me
announced.
put my dog in the next room.
Yeah, you're good. The remaster was announced. And now I did a sort of reaction stream where we watched the state of play live, and I talked about this a little bit. They did announce afterwards, because the state of play made it seem like Soul Reaver was just coming to PlayStation, like it was going to be exclusive. It is not. It's coming to Xbox, PC, all that stuff.
Yeah, but don't you want to buy a PS5 Pro though, so you can play Legacy of Kain remaster?
So it is coming to all those platforms. It's being developed by Aspire, who they did the most recent Bounty Hunter remaster, right?
That's right. They did Bounty Hunter. They did Tomb Raider, the Tomb Raider remasters, and then less to their credit, they did the Battlefront collection. But the Bounty Hunter game, they did really well.
Yes.
Like they really did justice to that. And I didn't play them, but I heard that the Tomb Raider remasters, they really did justice to. So maybe they're on an upward swing and they're taking things a little bit more seriously after that horrific Battlefront Classic Collection fiasco.
It seems like from the things that I've heard is that when they do multiplayer,
it's bad.
It's bad. But when
they can't handle multiplayer.
Yeah, but when it's single player stuff, they usually do pretty good.
You prepping for a Legacy of Kain remaster review video?
Oh yeah, for sure. Definitely. Gonna have to do that. It comes out in December 10th. Really excited with it. I think the remaster looks pretty good. I went through sort of frame by frame the trailer on stream, and dissected it a little bit. I didn't, the original game isn't as fresh in my mind, now, but, maybe thinking about going back through with a more of a fine-tooth comb after replaying the games again. But it does look good. I think it looks good. There are a couple problems. I have some issues with it. And those issues are mostly lighting, in my opinion. A lot of the newer shots look a little bit too bright. I mean, this is a perfect example right here. You know, they're showing old and new. It's a little bit too bright, but I do like what they've done with some of the designs. I think it looks pretty good. I will say this is all with the caveat, though, that the game, they've already announced that the game is going to have the ability to switch back and forth between the old graphics and the new graphics at will.
Always a good idea.
Yes. So, you know, and this comes back into my argument about remakes and things like that. As long as you make the original available, it lessens the impact of whatever you're doing for the new version. Like it lessens how harshly I'm going to view it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. If it's bad, the OG is still there, and this is a way for both of these games to be accessible, especially on PC and just all modern consoles, so that people can actually play them. I don't know if most people know this, but Soul Reaver has been off of Steam for years now, I believe. They took it off of Steam years ago, assumingly when they were starting development on these, because it was so bad. The PC port was so bad, and it was so difficult to get it to work. And it's kind of always been that way with the Legacy of Kain series.
Which did you use for your videos again? Did you use the PC ports, or did you emulate?
I think I emulated Soul Reaver 1. I think I played Soul Reaver 2 on PC. Yeah. And then I think I played the physical version of Defiance. So remasters, they're too old for me to be hyped on that. We get full remakes of 5-year-old games, but not 30-year-old ones. Yeah, remasters, not remakes. I've seen this a lot. I've seen a lot of people getting kind of frustrated that these aren't remakes, that they're just remasters. I think I always lean towards remaster. I feel like we have this conversation all the time. But I always lean a little bit towards remaster because it's closer to the spirit of the original game. And like this game, at least from what they're talking about, like the features that they've talked about and stuff, feels kind of like somewhere in the middle between a remaster and a remake.
They did a lot more work on this one graphically than they did on Bounty Hunter.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how much you know about the Bounty Hunter remaster, but they made it, 4K capable. They made it widescreen, and they updated like the main character's they updated his texture and a couple of textures throughout the game, but that was it.
Yeah.
It was basically like playing a port with some polish. It was a polished port. This actually looks like they've gone in and retouched way more, maybe to some people's, lament, because they completely remodeled the statue.
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean, this is far more of a hybrid than some of the other like Aspire games I've seen. Like the Battlefront collection, that wasn't even a remaster. That was just a straight up port. It looked the same. It just had widescreen.
Yeah. So because like, there's the graphics, as you can see, have been completely like overhauled.
This is more than I've seen them do on a lot of previous games.
Yeah, and they also have done a lot of like there's a new control scheme that you can switch back and forth between if you like the old control scheme. There's tons of like quality of life improvements. There's I think there's like some sort of timeline world map thing in the game. There's a waypoint system that you can turn on and off. Like a lot of accessibility, or not even accessibility, but quality of life changes that would make it feel more modern, and new mechanics and stuff like that. So I'm hesitant to even call it just like a blanket remaster. It feels like it's definitely not a full remake, but it's somewhere in the middle. So I don't, I do understand why people want full remakes. Maybe it's not as accessible to some people, and I know a lot of people aren't
Yeah.
as inclined to play older games, I guess.
I think you're only going to see remakes of games that were incredibly successful on their first release. If you weren't getting a remaster, you wouldn't be getting anything.
Yes.
I do not believe a remake was ever brought to the table, and if it was shot down immediately. It's too costly. Remastering a game probably costs less than a quarter of what a full remake would be. It's just you're not going to get a remake. But on the case of this remaster, what are your reservations? Like, obviously, I want to talk more about what you're excited about, what you think they're doing right, what makes you optimistic. But before we do that, what are your reservations here? What are your concerns? What have you seen in this trailer and this reveal that make you take a step back and be like, I'm a little worried that this remaster is going to have X, Y, and Z? What does that look like for you?
Like I said, I think just some of the lighting. I think it changes the mood a little bit. It's a little too bright for me, and this is the perfect example. If you look right here, they show this side is the old version, and then this side is the new version. This it's a lot darker. It's a little more imposing. It's a little more moody. And
it is. It is. Yeah, I see what you mean.
This side is just a little bit more lighter, and it's not the model work, because I don't mind the model work, and I think the model work here is actually an improvement because it makes him so much more grotesque with the people fused into his body. So I think that is cool. It just needs to be a little darker, I think. And that's really my only reservation, if I'm being honest. Watching through the trailer and stuff, that seems like it. Now, of course, we haven't seen gameplay, and we haven't seen, what the game looks like really in motion from a UI perspective or anything. So I could have more as revealed, but just from this, I think that's really my only reservation, is that it's a little too bright. That might lead me to just playing it with the OG graphics.
Well, thankfully, because it's coming. You're getting it on PC. It's coming to PC, right?
Yeah.
Because of that, I promise, give it 1 week and you'll have a mod to darken the remaster lighting. So you can.
That's true.
That's why it's always good to put things on PC.
Mm-hmm.
If you're gonna put a remaster, that's really the biggest benefit to these remasters, guys. Is a proper, easier to mod port.
Yeah.
Like, think of it that way. Don't think about it as like, why aren't they remaking it? Think about it as they're giving us a port that's been optimized a little bit better so that we can mod it and play with it and really make it the way we want it. And the community will. I promise it will.
Definitely. Yeah, I think that's my only reservation. You were talking about things I'm excited about.
What's your optimistic take on it all?
Like I said, just the new things. So one of the new things that they're introducing as well is something called lost levels, or bonus materials. So this is from the Crystal Dynamics page, and they have a list of key features here. And this one says, explore an interactive lore map. Very excited about that. Also, an extremely good way to get fans up to speed on the story, the things you're not going to see with Blood Omen. If they didn't play Blood Omen, then you can this lore map fills them in. And that's extremely good. And I just want to see how it works. I think that's really cool. New concept art, and delve into environments from the fabled lost levels. So I would assume that means that there's going to be playable environments in the game from the cut content that we've seen over the years, because Soul Reaver has so much cut content. There was a shit ton that was cut from the game, and a lot of people have done a lot of work to find that over the years. But it'll be really cool to see it in game, or at least in whatever version they have it, explore it and stuff. They also list here brand new map and compass, that you can navigate Nosgoth with. So, you know, if you want waypoints, if you want a compass, if you don't want to get lost as much, there you go. Capture your favorite shots with a photo mode. Really cool. Photo mode on release, and achievements and trophies. I think just all these like little things are so cool that aren't game changing. They aren't going to change the entire experience, but they're little pluses that you get with this version of the game.
You're going to 100% it?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm going to be looking for the platinum on this one. Yeah, so I those are my things. And again, just super fucking happy to see this series coming back, making a return. I think, you know, like you were saying before, a remake was never on the table, but if this does well enough, remakes of other games could be, you know, Blood Omen,
and maybe a sequel, maybe a new entry.
Yeah, a sequel, a remake. You know, they can't just. I know everybody's like, oh, I was expecting a remake. We just got remasters. The series has been dead for how many years now? You know,
over a decade.
When did Defiance come out?
It's like 12, right?
Yeah, I think so. No, 2003. It's been dead
It's been that long?
Yeah, if you don't count Dead Sun, because they tried to make Dead Sun, but that never came out. 21 years the series has been dead for. And I get it. There's a passionate fan base online. I've seen that over the years, obviously. But that's not enough for them to go full head on into a remake or a sequel. They can't just be like, well, we're just going to resurrect this 20-year-old series with a full remake. They have to probe the market first. They have to do something small. Okay, we see that there's a presence online. Let's just get a remaster together and see how well that does. If this does super well, then okay, now it's time to put more money in it. Maybe a full remake, maybe a sequel, you know, stuff like that. They can start to do other things with the series. So, you know, it is important that this does well. If you're a fan of the series, I definitely recommend checking it out. I'm not going to tell you to, you know, go buy it if you're not interested in it. But if you are interested in it, check it out. Give it a try for sure. What would you say is the main appeal of the Legacy of Kain series? I'm someone who has never heard about it before and have no idea what to expect. For me, honestly, the appeal is it's such a unique take on everything it does. I think you can look at Soul Reaver, like you can look at a few cutscenes of Soul Reaver, and it's completely original, and it's unlike anything else that you're going to be looking at. You know, it's a unique take on like vampires already, but then also with the way the story is told, sort of converging at the end with a crossover game. It's really cool. I think the lore and the story is the most interesting thing to me.
I just gotta say, Stephen E's comment, Dead Since Dreamcast, that's a band name.
That is a good band name.
Dead Since Dreamcast,
that's really
crazy.
Good band name. Yeah. Hell yeah. That's a free one. There you go. Yeah.
Somebody, one of the people watching this, if you've been looking for your band name, Dead Since Dreamcast is so good.
Looked a bit into the dev behind Soul Reaver Remaster Hard Pass. I mean, yeah, we were talking about that. They have a
troubled history.
They have a troubled history, but they've also done. They seem to do well with this kind of thing. They seem to do well. This seems to be their wheelhouse. You know, I know the Battlefront thing was probably their biggest flub.
The Battlefront thing was needlessly egregious.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't just the server problem. It was that they used mods and didn't credit the developers.
Yeah.
They also they fumbled the Knights of the Old Republic 2 port to like Switch and whatnot, and then they sold a ton of copies under the promise that there was going to be a DLC that implemented all of the missing content. And then after like a month or two after they had already sold all the copies, they announced, sorry, we're not going to do that, and you can't refund the game.
Yeah.
So that was bad. They have some fumbles.
Yeah.
But they're also, they have some hits. I'd say it's better to be hit and miss than it is to be all miss. You know, there's developers out there who can't seem to get it right. Aspire is figuring it out. They're no Night Dive, but they're figuring it out.
Yeah. Yeah. They're definitely not, you know, like you said, they're not a super clean name in the industry. They're not like, oh, they're behind it, let's fucking go.
But they do more is the thing. Night Dive, one of the things that comes with their quality is a little bit of less quantity, I think. And Aspire seems to be cranking these things out, which, I mean, that leads me to believe that Aspire is the developer who might be willing to pick up ideas that are a little bit more risky, and we might not get otherwise. You know, so, you know, the Legacy of Kain ones are an example. Like, I don't think Night Dive would have ever tried that.
Yeah, no. Yeah, so it's an interesting situation. Well, should we talk about the rest of the state of play?
Yeah, I mean, some interesting things were announced, but you know, you and me were talking about this a little bit earlier. It was nothing super caught my attention, I don't think, but I think there were some things that that you were really interested in, right?
Yeah, I think you know, I had a lot of problems, not a lot of problems. Ghost of Tsushima wasn't the perfect game for me. It wasn't perfect. And I'm not saying it was bad. I liked it a lot.
But now it will be, because it's gotta, okay. Go ahead.
I liked it a lot. But I didn't, there was just, the story was a bit too predictable. Did you play it?
No, I never played that one.
Okay. It was good. It was really good. And I feel like some of the things it did with the open world design were better than most games that do open world design. I still, you know, the problems I have with open world games, you know,
all very relatable issues with open world stuff.
I love to hate an open world game. So there's always some level of, I'm a little reserved towards open world games, but I do think Ghost of Yotai looked good. I think that, you know, they just have a fucking way with color, man. They have a way with color. They have a way with making their shots look just gorgeous and vibrant and
sure, yeah,
beautiful. Like it just, a lot of the shots in the trailer looked really good. So I wasn't really, you know, thinking about Ghost of Tsushima 2 being announced. I wasn't like, I'm super excited about it or anything. I was like, yeah, whatever. It's going to be another one of those games. But seeing the trailer and seeing that world again, I was like, damn, okay, that's why that first one did still hit in spite of its downsides, was because it's just so fucking gorgeous. Yeah, I thought that looked good. Obviously, I thought Horizon Zero Dawn Remastered is, you know, amazing. Like I'm
necessary. Like how
necessary.
long? Like the Horizon Zero Dawn was basically. I mean, it may as well have been out on the NES with how it looked. So I could think of. It's hard for me to think of a game that could use that more. You know, certainly not a game that Guerrilla has made in the past. Certainly not.
I booted it up. I booted the original up the other day, and I almost threw up on myself because it looked so bad. It was so bad, and I couldn't play it.
Did you boot it up, and the first thing you thought was, "Damn, this is a good game. If only the visuals weren't so bad." Is that the first thing you thought?
Yeah, the first thing I thought was, "This is a good game."
if not for these visuals that are really weighing it down.
God, yeah.
But thankfully, they're rectifying that, because, you know, the remaster is going to be the same game, but with like all of the terrible visuals of the previous game completely fixed,
completely gone. So it should be a 10 out of 10 this time around.
Yeah, I mean, thankfully now what we have to wait for is The Last of Us Part 2 remaster, and then we're good.
Yeah,
to fix the notoriously bad visuals of that game as well.
Dude, I can't. I was streaming the State of Play, and when this one came up, I was just, why? Like, okay, I don't know.
We need that Mr. Krabs clip of him saying money on the soundboard.
Yeah, we should get that on the soundboard. I gotta write that down. So the thing is, Horizon Zero Dawn, it did come out a while ago, right? It came out in 2017. 2017.
Zero Dawn was 17?
Yeah.
I thought it was older than that.
So it came out 7 years ago, right? And I see people online and they're like, how long does a game have to be out before it's allowed to have a remake? It's
I don't think it's a time thing.
Well, this is the point that I wanted to make. It's not about time anymore. It used to be, because if you think about, a game on the PS1 versus a game on the PS2, there was a great leap in technology between those two generations.
Enormous, yeah.
If you think about a game on the PS2 versus the PS3, it was a massive leap, an even bigger leap in technology, probably. When you think about a game on the PS4 versus the PS5, it's not that big. It's not that different. And I get it. There is a jump there, but it just isn't that big anymore, because the graphics advances that we're making are way more subtle than you're going to immediately notice. We're not making things, we're not changing things from looking like a triangle for a face to like actually having features. We're introducing like pores and shit,
Yeah.
And
a big part of it also is, I think consumers are feeling a little bit cheated, maybe, because used to, with the new leap in technology came a new title to show it off, a new entry in a series. So I know I talk about it a lot, but it's because I'm doing a series on it right now. The difference between Killzone 1 and 2 was huge, but they didn't re-release Killzone for the PS3. It was a PS2 game. They didn't fix it and put it on the PS3. They did a little short remaster, but it was more of a port. They did Killzone 2, right? That's how it used to be. Halo 2, Halo 3 is, with the new technology, you could look forward to a new entry. But nowadays, it seems like they go back and just touch a game up to cash it in and try to make some quick money without having to go through the whole development cycle. And I think consumers are like, I didn't want this. I wanted something different. I want something new. Like they probably want remakes, but they don't want remakes of games that they can still go back and enjoy.
Yeah. And it just, I mean, it's not that big of a leap anymore. So the time that we, from the PS1 to the PS2, you could remake a game. I mean, it didn't really seem to happen that often back then, but you could remake a game from the PlayStation 1 that, came out 7 years or whatever this was, 7 years ago.
And I think Resident Evil is the only one I can think of. It was PS1 to GameCube, though. But I mean, similar, same generation.
Exactly. And, that's, you could remake that and see big graphical advances. The other thing that I don't hear people talk about is that this is a remaster, but a remake also is necessary for updating the game to changing mechanics that have been developed and are, more used by the market for games. A game from the PlayStation 1 is going to play way differently than a game from the PS5, because that's just what those mechanics were popular at that time. And now we have new mechanics that people are more used to. The fucking meta of these types of games has not changed since the PS3. It's
true.
Just the same fucking thing. There's no reason to make these games, more like to change their mechanics to be more up to date. They're going to play exactly the fucking same. So that hasn't changed, and the graphics haven't really changed. So therefore, the time needs to be extended way further to multiple generations of hardware, because it's just not necessary anymore. And you are right. When this stuff does happen, people feel cheated.
Yeah, if you want to do it so bad, just make it a port and put it on consoles it previously wasn't on. Don't fucking you don't have to call it a remake. Although I think they do that obviously because it's better marketing.
Yeah. Well,
It's a
remastered.
shame.
Yeah.
And the thing you said about the mechanics resonates pretty heavy too. But of course, if Nintendo has their way, nobody will be able to use any mechanic ever again.
Yeah. Yeah. They're just gonna patent
Nintendo's
everything.
gonna patent cover system. I bet you anything, Epic Games is like, we started this with Gears of War, and they're headed to the office right now. It's like, all right, patent cover mechanics right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Kojima needs to patent strand games.
Strand type games, yeah, because people are
games.
itching to get into that. I see all these games trying to be strand type.
I know there's so many strand type games out there now. I
Just
don't
ripping
even know
Kojima
canon.
off, dude. What can you describe a strand type game in one sentence?
So I was thinking about this week because I've been playing Death Stranding, and I'm getting ready to do a video on it, and I want an answer. I want to figure out the answer to that question while I'm making this video. And I would say it's going to be hard without playing Death Stranding 2, you know, because I assume Death Stranding 2 is also a strand type game. I would think that it is a game that has the main theme of connection.
So it's a thematic thing. It's a genre with a particular theme.
That's my interpretation of it so far. Once I get more into the weeds, maybe I'll have a different answer for you, but that's what I think. I have no idea though. What do you do? Have you come to a conclusion on that?
No, I never I have a vague idea of what he intends when he says strand type game, but I don't really know how to describe it in a sentence, you know?
Yeah.
Which makes me think it's not a strand type game. That's not a game type, and that's why you don't see anybody trying to get in on that because it doesn't really mean anything.
We got the strand type game. Where the strand type beat?
Yeah, where the strand type beat at?
Where the strand?
It was that. It's that off time signature main menu theme.
Yeah. Yeah.
A strand type game is a game where you use a strand to like strangle somebody. So like Hitman is a strand type game.
Hitman's a strand type
because
game.
you use a strand to. Yeah. That's truly a strand type game, I think.
I think it's like connection as a mechanic or theme, because you know the main mechanic of Death Stranding is connection, and the main one of the largest themes is connection. And
so Mass Effect 2 is a strand type game because the whole theme of that game is building a squad and like going and doing their
Persona
loyalty
3
quests.
is a strand type game.
Yeah, all of the Persona games are strand type games. We're figuring out all of these are strand types.
Yeah, you can now confidently tell your friends which games are strand types.
Mass Effect 2 is a strand type game.
Bo in chat said people are still making 10 out of 10 games with Game Boy graphics. Yeah, and I think you know, like back to the remake conversation that we were having, like it just I think graphics are already not a very big point for a lot of people, but I think it's going to start to get even worse, I guess, or better. I don't know what you would use for that, but I think it's going to start to get even more widespread. I think you're going to start seeing this in the mass populace as well. Like the average gamer is going to start being like, I don't really care about graphics because they haven't changed in so long. There's going to be an eventual fatigue. I think it happens for us now more often because, you know, especially like me, I don't give a fuck about how good how realistic a game looks. It's more about aesthetic and design than it is realism. And I think that's going to start bleeding into the real world as well. Maybe GTA 6 will start this trend when people see that it doesn't really look that much different from GTA 5.
Yeah. I think I do care about graphics, but I care about it because of the aesthetic thing. Like, it's not important to me for a game to look as realistic as possible. But it is important to me that some games, their aesthetic is better when they are going for some kind of realism. But I would actually take it a step further. I prefer games to have exaggerated realism. over realism, right? So realistically, you're not going to be like walking down a street and there's like newspapers flying everywhere and like lights flickering everywhere and particles everywhere you look, right?
Yeah.
You don't see that realistically. And I actually think that's why, if you look at a lot of games released in like the past 5 years and compare them to games that were released like more than a decade ago, there's something feels lost. So for instance, if you look at footage of Gotham Knights versus Arkham Knight, people are like, oh, Arkham Knight looks so much better. It's because Arkham Knight was trying to be exaggerated realism and Gotham Knight was going for realism. So Gotham Knight really does look more like real life, but because Arkham Knight has newspapers everywhere and snow particles and all this other stuff, it feels more.
It looks more like a movie than real life.
Yeah. It part of that is fidelity and realism, but it's more so utilizing that to an aesthetic favor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think you would see this if you looked at Halo 3 and compared it to Halo Infinite. Halo Infinite, I don't care what anyone says, looks better than Halo 3. It is higher fidelity. It looks beautiful. Everything looks great, but it is not an exaggerated realism like Halo 3 is. Right. I think Killzone 3 is the biggest example I can think of recently because I just did a video on it. There's a scene where everywhere I looked, there was some moving particle. They were everywhere. And I remember thinking to myself, I was like, this isn't realistic. These fucking particles are every direction I look. They are just flexing their engine.
Mm-hmm.
But that was the point. I liked it. I liked that there were lens flares and lighting. And I think Phantom Pain does a good job of that. I think Phantom Pain feels like an exaggerated realism.
It does.
You know?
Yeah. It is the movie game that Kojima dreamed of making from day one, and he succeeded on that goal. It has lens flares. It's fucking.
I love it.
Yeah, panning cameras and shit.
I guarantee you, if you were riding a horse around Afghanistan, it would not actually realistically be as cinematic and interesting as it is in that game.
Yeah, you're right. I think it's more when a movie or when a game tries to be more cinematic, more exaggerated realism really is the best way to put it. I've never heard that. People in chat said Dark Souls is a strand type game because you can leave messages.
True. And you can like go into each other's games and stuff.
Yeah. Hitman. You said that. Yeah.
Yeah. Hitman is definitely
a strand type. Is a strand type game. Yeah.
I will not concede on this point. Hitman is a strand type game. You ever play Hitman?
I actually played I had a trilogy collection on the PS2. You remember those PS2 games that you could get where it was like 3 games in like a cardboard sleeve? You remember those? I think DMC had one. And it was a Hitman one, and it had the first 3 games. And I would play them a lot when I was a kid. I haven't really played any of the newer ones. And
I want to because they look mad fun, but I just haven't had the
Yeah, I want to play them too. It's one of those series I've never gotten into.
I'm just sitting around waiting desperately for the new 007 game.
Yeah.
I want that developer's 007 game so bad.
Yeah. Okay, what else? I forgot to mention as well. They kind of glossed over this in the state of play, but they also dropped. Not only did they announce the Soul Reaver 1 and 2 remaster, they announced that Blood Omen was coming to PlayStation Plus as well.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't even know that happened. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Blood Omen and Dino Crisis were coming to PlayStation Plus, and they just it was like they announced the Horizon Zero Dawn remaster with this big trailer, and then right after they were like, yes, and Blood Omen and Dino Crisis. They said like these games are coming to PlayStation Plus, and then the slide just moved, and then they moved on. It was so fast. I was like, what the fuck? So that was pretty cool too. It was a big day for Legacy of Kain fans. Legacy of Kain chads.
The Dino Crisis are some games that could actually use some remasters.
Yeah. There was a lot of people in chat that were freaking out about that. Wait, Dino Crisis is coming to PS Plus as well. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Dino Crisis. I don't know if it was the first one or which one it was, but it was one of them.
The Turok trilogy came. They put the Turok trilogy out recently. I think Night Dive did that. I'm trying to look that up. Yeah, because I meant to play it and then I completely forgot about it. I've never played. Have you ever played the Turok games?
I played one of them back in the day. I don't remember which one it was.
I always wanted to play those, but I never did.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. Pretty cool games.
They're just first-person dinosaur games?
Basically, first-person dinosaur killing.
Okay, yeah, they're on Steam. That's cool. I should get that sometime. Damn, they're expensive.
You guys know if Soul Reaver will be on PC? Yes, it will. It is also coming to PC and Xbox and stuff like that. They didn't talk about that in the state of play. They made it kind of seem like it was going to be an exclusive, but it's not. It's going to be on PC. Also Alan Wake 2 DLC coming out in October, the final DLC. So I can finally, when this DLC comes out, I can finally make my Alan Wake 2 video.
Been putting it off.
Been putting it off for about a year, but it'll be time. We got more Dragon Age, the Veilguard
Veilguard, yeah.
I don't think people are talking about this a lot. Everybody's talking about the aesthetics, how the game looks bad, and the gameplay and stuff like that. I talked about this on the stream. The UI for that game is dog shit.
Didn't even think about that, but the UI does look really bad. I'm thinking about it now.
It is mobile game UI.
It does look bad. Damn.
If I've ever seen it. Let me pull up. Let me pull this up so I can show you. And this is one of the that ruins a game for me, to be honest. Is a
bad UI is pretty hard to overlook, dude.
It's terrible because it's something I feel like people don't complain about enough or don't criticize enough, but it
was called something else first, Dizzy. It was called Dreadwolf.
Yeah.
But I guess internally they thought, shit, dude, Dreadwolf sounds cool. We need to change it to something that sounds lame. How about something Veily? How about Veilguard? That sounds less toxic and offensive. Dreadwolf sounds toxic and offensive. Oh, that does look fucking terrible, dude.
It's so bad. I wish I could find one. There was the footage they showed off too. There was a boss health bar up at the top, and it's like I can't even explain how bad it is. It's such bad UI. It's just so boring. It's so boring, but there's so much shit going on at the same time. It doesn't feel like efficient. It doesn't feel like it has any redeemable style, because it does have a style, but it's what style is it? You can't tell. Bronze?
It's Critical Role style.
Yeah, kind of. To be honest, it is.
It's cozy. It's cozy role play style.
It's so bad.
Cozy, comfy role play style. We've come a long way from bloody, violent, like the logo being made out of blood while Marilyn Manson plays in the background.
Yeah.
We've come a long way from that, unfortunately.
Yeah, it looks
now
like
we're
so
snuggle up with hot chocolate.
Yeah. It looks like it would be so clunky to use. Yeah, it looks like it's a mess, man. It's a mess. And that's one of the biggest things that I've seen that I'm just like, oh God, I don't even know if I want to mess with this. Cause it just looks like a headache. It looks like a headache. Yeah, they did. And you were talking about the name change too. Yeah, they changed the name. And the thing was, I don't even know what the story is. I don't know if it's going to fulfill this or whatever, but at the end of Inquisition, the last game released in the series, they hinted towards the Dreadwolf, which was a character in the lore, and it was like a post-credit scene thing, and then the next game was supposed to be Dragon Age Dreadwolf, like this was the next thing, but yeah, they changed it. I don't know if they're going a completely different direction or if they just scrapped that whole thing or whatever, but
I mean, yeah. Inquisition did come out in 2014, so
this game has gone through a ton of redesigns and
different fucking game.
Yeah,
by this point.
Probably. Yeah. New
the
Mass
final
Effect.
Nail in BioWare's coffin.
Yeah. New Mass Effect is likely going to make you feel nostalgic for Andromeda. Yeah. I don't really have hope for it at this point. I think it's a far way off. It's a far time off, but so God knows what it's even going to look like at that point.
Who owns BioWare right now?
I don't know, actually.
Because I'm gonna be honest with you guys.
Go off, King.
That Mass Effect's not coming out.
Yeah, it would be.
BioWare might not exist long enough to finish that Mass Effect game.
EA.
BioWare, in this time where companies are laying off anyone they can, everywhere they can, shutting down studios, companies are hurting. They're hemorrhaging money because they over predicted budgets. They agreed to fund games that they really shouldn't have. Games are way too bloated. This Dragon Age game has been in development for so long. I don't, even if everyone was excited about this game, by the way, even if everyone thought, okay, Veilguard, this is fucking it. Even if everyone was doing that, it still probably would not recoup the amount of money they've been pouring into it for the past however long they've been developing it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to, I don't think this game is going to turn a profit, but especially not now, because I don't think that many people are interested in this. I think some people are, obviously, and we talked about this last stream. I think that there is an audience for this game. I think that there are a handful of people who are going to be very excited and really love this game. But it won't be enough. I don't think it'll be enough.
I'm not ready to say I don't think it'll be enough, but I am ready to say that I think the only way it's successful is if they properly pull off a complete audience shift. Because I think the core audience is definitely not interested in this, at least from what I've seen. Maybe I could be completely isolated, and I could totally be wrong. I've made poor predictions in the past. Mm-hmm. But it seems like the core audience isn't interested in it, the core audience of the Dragon Age games. And this is looking for a completely new audience. So if they can pull off a completely new shift, I think it could work. And I think that's going to be people that are coming off the back of Baldur's Gate 3 that hadn't gotten into an RPG before, and that was kind of their foray into the genre. And then they're looking for something to sort of fill that role. I think it's going to be a lot of those people. So if they can do that, then I think that's a path to success. But if they can't, yeah, I think you're right. It's probably not going to do super well.
I'm speaking kind of from experience as someone who knows what it's like to really love games that are not popular with mass audiences. You and I have been talking about this game Syndicate that I've been going through hell to try to play. I actually bought that game on release as a kid. I think in 2012 when it came out. I pre-ordered that game because I was so hyped for it, because it's kind of it's a very niche game. It's very gory. You can literally dismember people with a minigun, like Dead Space level dismemberment. It's hyper violent, super edgy, and it, despite only being a linear shooter with like 12 missions and like 8 hours of playtime, it took 4 years to develop because the developer Starbreeze kept arguing with EA. I was reading in the development of it. Can you just take a shot in the dark at how much money you think Syndicate made in its first month?
I don't know. 6 figures?
250K.
Damn.
It's terrible. It was such a crippling failure. Starbreeze was basically folded, and the Syndicate IP is dead.
Jesus.
With no chance of coming back. That's what happens, right? I love that game. That game is everything I love, but that's the problem. It's everything I love, and I'm niche. I'm not the mass audience. And I get, because I know what that looks like, because I am that, I can kind of tell when I'm seeing it somewhere else. And I feel that with Veilguard. I feel like I can see this is made for an audience that probably isn't mass audience, you know, because I've kind of learned to tell what mass audience is to a degree.
Yeah.
I think it's going to do better than Syndicate, but I don't think it's going to do well enough to justify its budget and its development time.
I see people in chat saying that Dragon Age doesn't look like Baldur's Gate 3. That's not really what I was saying. I was saying I'm not saying the quality is similar or that the style is similar. I'm saying the appeal to an audience might be similar for a slice of that audience.
They're a similar genre. They're fantasy RPGs.
Yeah, I don't think they look similar. I don't think they look similar in quality. I'm just saying I think the appeal for people they might be able to capture that, and that's a big might. I was saying that's their only way for this to really succeed is if they can capture those people. If they don't, I think it's not going to do well.
Yeah, Baldur's Gate it's set in Forgotten Realms, right?
I think so. Yeah. Yeah,
Well,
because Baldur's Gate is a town in the Forgotten Realms.
I know that Dragon Age was like BioWare's kind of answer to Dungeons, because they all like Dungeons and Dragons. I mean, the KOTOR games were built on Dungeons and Dragons, I think 3rd edition mechanics, like copy paste. They were all huge fans, and I think
Most CRPGs are.
Yeah, well, I think it's pretty obvious that by Dragon Age was going for Dungeons and Dragons in terms of its like appeal and its aesthetic to a degree. I think it's a fair comparison to talk about the similar audiences.
Yeah.
Audience bleed over.
Yeah, I think that's their path to victory, let's say. I honestly think that the time when devs' creativity and commitment was at its strongest was back in the PS2 era. I can't really speak to commitment, but creativity, obviously, during those hardware generations was when...
Check. Okay. Sorry, I knocked my mic.
You're good. Was when developers were... they were bottlenecked by technology, and they had to find creative ways around it. And that's what you see generally with a lot of indie games now, is finding creative ways to use lower resolution graphics, let's say, or lesser graphics, lesser fidelity. But you don't really see that in the AAA market anymore, because nobody's bottlenecked when it comes to tech. Nobody's bottlenecked.
It's not just that. They cost a lot less to make back then too. So there were a lot less, because I'm all right. I agree. I think that the developers are less creative now for the reasons you were saying, but I think a big part of it is the producers are a lot less willing to let developers be creative. I'm sure
that's true.
Dozens of iterations and pitches come and go through a producer's office, like the Reaper knocking on the door to different pitches and killing the creativity to try to formulate mass appeal. So I think that look at your publishers and you'll see a creative killer factory,
Yeah. And yeah, obviously there's a lot of, we got to make money, but there's also a ton of, like we think that more freedom is going to provide us with more ability for creativity, and it technically does, but sometimes restriction is the best way to get creativity, and when you saw that era of restriction with graphics, you have to get creative to think your way around it. You have to get creative, and some of the best things have come out of that. And back then, to your point, the video game market wasn't what it is today. Today it's the biggest market out there as far as media goes. So
yeah,
of course you have way more people that are like, hey, this needs to make money. Back then you had way more people that were like, fuck it, whatever, do whatever you want.
Yeah, like I finished the video game is saying, it was very Wild West. It was very Wild West back then, and it is now so more honed in, for better or for worse.
Coming straight out of school rather than being bedroom tech geeks that fall into it. Yeah, that too as well. Yeah, and there's also, it's just a different mindset as well. There is a career path now. There's a career path to be made in games. So it's like, there's a way to do this. I'm going to follow that path, and I'm going to make these games, and I'm going to, this is my job. But back, in those earlier generations, it was way more like, this is fucking untrodden territory, and I'm just doing this because I love it and I want to keep doing it as much as I can.
Yeah.
Not saying that those people don't exist today, but less.
A lot of them are getting stepped on by producers telling them stop.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Okay, what else was at the state of play? By the way, if you're in the chat, or if you're just watching, maybe you're lurking. Maybe you're just sitting back not saying anything. Maybe you're being...
We welcome lurkers here.
We welcome lurkers. We love a good lurker. I love a good lurker. Make sure to like the stream.
You need a lurker emote in your chat for members.
That's true. We should get a
You
lurker.
need a lurker emote for lurkers to have something to comment when they don't want to comment something.
And I better never see it commented, because if you're commenting the emote, you're not lurking.
True.
So
it'll be temptation because you stop being a lurker when you comment. It's like, oh, you were a lurker, but you've graduated to comment.
Yeah. Okay. What else was at the state of play? So we can wrap up the state of play. Nothing really else that I was super big on. I saw that that there was that Lunar remaster that got announced. It was a JRPG.
I think I did see that, yeah.
That I had never really heard of before, but people in my chat were going crazy about it. And apparently it's very beloved. So I might check that out.
I mean, it seems like there's something being there. What did you think of the when does Metaphor come out? Does it come out in December?
Yeah, I think it comes out in like 2 weeks or something. There was a demo actually that was posted, a free demo that people could play. I think it was the first like hour or couple hours of the game, and then you could transfer your save data over to the full game when it comes out. I haven't played it yet though, because I kind of just want to wait till it comes out.
That's fair. Yeah,
that's fair. I don't like to get super excited when a game is this close, because then it's just, I'm going to be super excited about it. But I will definitely be playing it because that's probably one of my most anticipated games right now. Metaphor? Yeah.
It looks really cool, especially for fans of Atlas games.
Yeah, and everything that I've heard about it is from people that have played previews and stuff, is that it's just like a great combination of the Shin Megami Tensei series and Persona. Like, it's just taking the best elements from both of those games and putting them into one, and in a fantasy setting. So that's really cool. I think the Persona series is really needed to get out of the high school setting for a while, and fans have been asking for that for a while. Yeah. Like to at least go to college or something, go to college. Like that's what people have been saying for the longest time. Like, the next one needs to be like in fucking college or something. Persona University. But because I feel like the high school thing is getting a little tired. So it's nice to see it in like a fantasy setting. I think that's pretty cool. At least that system. I know it's not a Persona game. Other than that, there wasn't too much. I thought the Midnight Walk looked a little cool. That claymation game. I thought that looked pretty cool. I don't know if I'm gonna play it, but I think it looks interesting. What do you think about the rumors that Rocksteady is retreating back to the Batman brand? I saw that. I think they need to. I don't think it'll help, because I don't think lack of Batman was the problem with their last entry. No, it wasn't, but I would assume that if they're going back to a single player Batman game, and I think that's what they need to do. I've seen some people hoping it's Batman Beyond. That could be really cool. Yeah, I would be up for that. But just a single player Batman game. I don't just, the live service thing didn't work. Ditch it. Move on. Go to something. You tried it. Yeah. Go back. Do what you've done best so far. What do you think about Batman getting a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame? Yeah, you were saying something about that. What? So the character Batman got? Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I watched the live stream and the reveal. Huh? Has that ever happened before? Has that ever? No. Okay. This is the first fictional character to get his own star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. It was. I'm torn on it, because on the one hand, I think that's really cool. I like the idea that we're recognizing Batman as one of our American myths. I think it's really neat. I think, Batman is probably a better person than anyone else on that Hollywood Walk of Fame. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But also at the same time, saying this as a Batman fan, I love superheroes. I think superheroes are incredibly important. There's something to look up to and strive for. Watching that live stream was so fucking cringy. I bet. Watching that live stream was so rough. Dude. I can only imagine. No one big showed up, and it made the whole thing feel rough. Oh. Nolan, Snyder, Matt Reeves, none of the live action Batman actors, not one. Okay. But Burt Ward, the actor for Robin from the 70s series, was there. Yeah. And most of the voice actors were there. Troy Baker was there. And they had a guy cosplaying Batman
receive the plaque and touch the star and pose with it. It was no one. We don't know who it was, and his suit did not look great. It looked like a cosplay suit. And I remember thinking to myself, it's like, you're in Hollywood.
Yeah.
You couldn't get access to the Matt Reeves suit or the Batfleck suit,
yeah,
or hell, the Keaton suit. You couldn't wrangle that out of the Flash production set. It's not sitting around somewhere. The Batman '89 suit.
Yeah.
You did this cosplay suit. Michael Keaton didn't show up. No one related to the live action movies, right? So this is Hollywood. It's movies. No one related to any of the movies showed up. No one.
Oh, I wonder why nobody wanted to go to that.
It was I think the head of DC Studios was there, and he like accepted the award. It was kind of embarrassing to watch.
Yeah.
I remember thinking, I was like, damn, did they invite? I was wondering, is it a situation where they invited a bunch of people and they didn't show up, or did they just think, oh, we don't want to waste their time? Because I mean, Matt Reeves, they talked about Matt Reeves. That was the only live action related person they talked. They said Matt Reeves couldn't be here today, but we have his car here. So the Batmobile from the Batman movie, the 2022 Batman movie, was sitting beside them the whole time. That was cool.
Yeah.
But Matt Reeves was the only one they even mentioned. They didn't even say Kevin Conroy's name.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, I do wonder, you're right. I wonder if like Christopher Nolan got like an email and he said yes and then he just like didn't go, or if he just straight up said no, or if they were just like, we're not getting them.
Tim Burton, Michael Keaton,
yeah,
Val Kilmer, George Clooney,
yeah, nobody.
Zack Snyder,
no.
Zack Snyder, it seems kind of like the chill, down-to-earth guy who would actually be willing to do that, especially after he's been putting out things that everybody fucking hates.
Yeah,
you know, he probably would have done it just to be like, look, I'm still cool.
Well, Zack Snyder probably doesn't want much to do with the Batman fan base at this point.
That might be true, but I mean, he still talks about Batman like he likes him. I don't know, but not one person involved in any of the live-action Batman movies was there.
They were probably like, who fucking cares?
Yeah, maybe. It's like I understood like Christian Bale not being there, you know, or Ben Affleck. It's like, yeah, it's not their Hollywood star, you know. They don't care to be there.
That would have been cool, figured though, if there was if they happened to assemble like all of the living Batman actors and
all of the voice actors were there, and they did like pictures with the Batman voice actors. Yeah, that was cool.
That's kind of cool.
Not all of them, because Jensen Ackles wasn't there, but most of them were there.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That part's cool. I don't know.
It was rough. It was kind of embarrassing to watch, because I was like, this is awkward, because no actual human is being honored.
Yeah.
And so they tried to turn it into a thing where they're like honoring the writers instead, but half the writers weren't there.
Yeah.
And it was like more about the comic book past than the movie past, but it's a Hollywood star on the Walk of Fame about the movies. It was very strange. I just wonder what the hell was going on with the whole thing, how this even happened. What were they hoping to make this into?
Yeah. Your favorite Marvel guy is Spider-Man, right?
Probably just character overall in general.
Yeah.
I think Daredevil is probably my favorite Marvel character in general, but Spider-Man is a close second.
Who if you had to pick Daredevil or Batman, which one would you pick?
I think I relate more to Daredevil than I do to Batman. I think I would say that. I think Batman has better products, so it's easier to like him more.
Yeah.
The Netflix series, the first 3 seasons of the Netflix series are better than any Batman thing. I think that. But that's it. He's got 3 seasons.
The first 3 seasons of the Daredevil show are better than The Dark Knight.
I think so. Yeah, I would say that,
bro.
Yeah, I would only say that because I don't think that The Dark Knight is like the best Batman movie. I think it's a phenomenal movie. I think The Dark Knight is
Batman movie.
Huh?
What's the best Batman movie?
Like the best live action one?
Yeah.
We haven't really gotten a great live action Batman.
Yeah, but
all of the iterations have probably Batman Returns, honestly. He's probably the best Batman movie in terms of like being. That was the second Burton movie. That's probably the best Batman movie in terms of like bringing the character, but none of them bring all of the character, in my opinion. I think The Dark Knight's one of the best movies of all
Has
time.
anybody ever told you that you have the worst fucking takes of all time?
I don't. That's not an unpopular take. Like Christian Bale was like that movie is renowned for the Joker and for being a great movie. That is not a very good fucking Batman, dude. I don't like that. I don't like
everybody in chat saying these are somebody just said these are the wildest Batman opinions. I don't think so.
I don't think so.
That's a hot take, man.
I didn't say The Dark Knight was a bad movie. No, I think it's a fantastic movie.
You said it's not the best Batman movie and that Batman Returns is the best Batman movie. I think that's a hot take. That's fair to say that's a hot take.
Batman movie, but I think The Dark Knight is a way better movie than The Dark Knight Returns. I just, in terms of bringing the Batman, look, dude.
Okay, you think at being a Batman movie.
Yes, that. Better at being a Batman movie.
It's not the best Batman movie, but it might be the best movie about Batman.
It's certainly not the best movie with Batman in it. It's definitely not the best movie about Batman, but it's the best movie with Batman in it.
Yeah.
What am I trying to say?
I think you had it flipped. Yeah. It is the best movie featuring the character Batman.
Yes.
But it's not the best Batman movie.
Yeah, it's not the best Batman in a movie. That's what I'm trying to say.
Everybody in chat's like probably.
Yeah, they hate that. But dude, I
head right now because we're fucking getting into.
Have you read a lot of Batman comics?
I've read quite a few.
Yeah, I've read a lot of Batman. I do love Batman. I'm like a classic Batman nerd. I've read a lot of Batman comics. I've played most of the games beyond the Arkham games. I wasn't just playing the Arkham games. That's easy. I was playing Batman Forever on the PC. That game is shit.
Yeah.
All right. I love Batman, and the Batman in the Nolan movies is just not a very cool Batman, dude. I do not like his Batmobile that much. I do not like his fighting style. I hate his fucking fighting style.
I don't know. I think he's a cool Batman.
I think that the fight scenes are some of the worst we've seen from Batman. They're just not. They're great fucking movies. I love Batman Begins, The Dark Knight. I even love The Dark Knight Rises. I just really hate that Batman.
Yeah, that's fair. I guess that's fair. I can see where you're coming from. But it is also a hot take.
I guess maybe so.
It's a hot take.
If we could have had Ben Affleck's Batman from Batman v Superman in like the Nolan movies, I would have been a lot happier.
I don't think it would have fit.
Probably not, but that's the problem.
That would make it a bad movie, I think.
But I kind of think that's the problem, is that you have movies like the 2022 The Batman flick, and you have the Nolan movies, and all of them shy away from some of the coolest elements about Batman because they're too fantastical.
Because that's,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but that's though I honestly give a full pass to the Nolan movies because they were doing something different for the time. Nobody had really done that.
I love them. I love those movies.
Yeah.
I give them the same pass. I give them the same pass. I just I don't like that Batman, but I give them that pass.
If you put Batfleck in The Dark Knight, for example, it wouldn't work, because the reason he's not super fucking cool and fantastical is because it's, trying to be a realistic-ish interpretation of Batman. And I don't think it would fit that world, because everything else is pretty much is too.
Yeah, I'm more so meant with like the level of it, like writing and the way that Batman was written. I like the way Nolan wrote those stories. Well, Nolan didn't write the first two. I think Goyer wrote most of them, and he co-wrote them. I like the way those movies handled the world. I just didn't like the way they handled Batman.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think if we had gotten that Ben Affleck Batman movie, it had potential to be the sickest fucking thing in the world. I'll say that.
Didn't David S. Goyer also write Blade?
I think so, yeah. I think he wrote Blade. He wrote a lot of the DC films. He wrote Man of Steel. He wrote the first two Nolan Batman movies. I think he co-wrote Batman v Superman, and he co-wrote The Dark Knight Rises. I think he worked on the Dark Knight. Dude, Goyer has worked on almost all of the fucking comic book movies with DC.
I need to rewatch Blade, because I keep seeing clips from the first movie on like Twitter, and that movie is the best edge kino I think that's ever been made.
The fact that I haven't seen it is starting to become an apparent travesty to me, because I saw some clips from it. I was like, this looks so cool, fucking cool.
Dude, it's every time I explain it to people, I'm like, it's literally just like 2000s techno club music with strobe lights, and like, it's fucking awesome, dude. It's so
yeah, that sounds
cool.
Awesome.
Like the club scenes, which is like and there's strobe lights going on and Blade's fucking cutting people down.
Okay, so
and then the
he
crazy CG
all
at
three.
the end is nuts.
He wrote all 3 Blade movies, and he also wrote Batman Begins. He wrote the Dark. He wrote the story for the Dark Knight, but he didn't write the whole movie.
Okay. I'd commit some truly heinous things to get a Constantine sequel greenlit. I think they're making it, aren't they?
Yeah, they're making that.
Yeah,
the Keanu Reeves one.
Yeah, they're making a Constantine.
That's another one. I like that movie. I don't like that Constantine.
Well, nobody does. Nobody does. But that movie is fucking great.
I agree. That's a great movie.
That movie is so underrated. It's insane. Obviously, I think the tides have turned. I think people enjoy it now. But dude, that movie is so fucking good. And it doesn't matter that it's not comic book accurate. Nobody really gives a shit. It's just a good ass movie. Shia LaBeouf in that. That the fucking have you seen the deleted scene from that movie?
I haven't.
Dude, there's a deleted, so spoilers for anybody who hasn't seen Constantine. There's a deleted scene where because Shia LaBeouf's character dies at the end of that movie, and there's a deleted scene where Constantine goes to his grave and lays down his cigarettes because he's quitting smoking, and fucking Shia LaBeouf shows up as an angel, like watching over him on the grave. It's insane. It's so good. So good.
We got someone in chat talking about the TV. Did you watch the Constantine TV series?
I did. I didn't love it. Yeah, I
okay.
I wasn't.
So I like the Constantine character, and I actually think that actor was perfect. I think his portrayal of Constantine was perfect, but that show was so disrespectful to him. That was such a bad show. I remember watching the first episode and I was like, oh dude, this is cool. You know, I'm into Justice League Dark. I'm excited about seeing this character like this. And I realized what I was in for when Constantine was walking. An angel hits the ground and then says, I'm here to warn you about something. He says, what are you trying to warn me about? He says, I can't tell you yet. And he leaves.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, you showed up to tell him you have something to tell him. Then you told him you can't tell him and you left. I was like, oh,
what was this?
The whole point of, I was like, this is awful. And I see what I'm in for now.
Yeah. I watched the original Constantine before I had ever read a Constantine comic. Didn't even know it was a comic. I watched it when I was a kid. Loved the movie. And then I got excited because they were making the show. And I was like, ooh, there's that character. And now I know he's in a comic, but I hadn't really read, what is it? Hellblazer? What's the comic?
No, Hellraiser's
Hellblazer.
I think Hellraiser's different.
Hellblazer, that's what it is.
Yeah, Hellblazer is what it is.
I hadn't read like Hellblazer or anything, and so I watched the show, and I was like, everybody was like, "Oh, it's way more accurate to the comic," and I was like, "Oh, I didn't like Constantine. I just liked that movie because I want Constantine to be like an edgy, fucking like." Asshole that's like sad and like is like American and like Keanu Reeves, you know, like I liked that about it, not the comics.
Understandable. That was your introduction to it after all.
Yeah. I wanted that more, the edgy, you know, mid 2000s stuff. I've never read Sandman either. Yeah, I've never read that. He should have been put into the Injustice games. Yeah, that would have been sick. I want to see Constantine too. I have no idea when that's coming out. I haven't heard updates on that in forever. It's probably in production hell. You know, it's probably going to stay there for a while, but I hope at the end of it we'll get some shitty Edge Kino.
You can't beat it. You can't beat it.
Okay, so we talked about the state of play.
What were you going with asking me about like my favorite Marvel characters, like Daredevil?
I was just curious. You were talking about Batman for a while, and you said you liked Batman, so I was just asking.
Okay, yeah.
So the new Tokyo Game Show had a trailer for new trailer
Snake
for,
Eater.
Yeah, for Delta Snake Eater. How'd you feel about it?
Nothing but good things, honestly. This is textbook, man. This should be textbook. This is like the new precedent. This is almost bad. It's bad because it is setting a new standard for how to handle a remake to a point where the rest of the industry is going to consistently fail to measure up to this, in my opinion. Like, they're not even calling it a fucking remake.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not even called a remake. They gave it its own independent title. It's insane.
It's just Delta.
This is new textbook. They're writing the new textbook that students from now on will have to refer to on how to handle a remake, and they're always going to fail. It's bad, but in the best way.
Yeah, you're touching on something really good there that I don't think a lot of people are going to get. I think they're going to take it as us being negative for no reason. I do think this looks really good as well, but you do have to wonder if this is really good, if it is that good, where is the industry going to go after that? And it's just going to be fucking more remakes, and they are not going to be as good. Because I think this is a pretty high standard from what we're seeing so far. I do think it looks really good. I will say at first, I didn't love the way Ocelot looked, but when I saw people comparing his face to how he looks in like MGS2 and stuff, I was like, damn, it's amazing. It looks closer to canon than MGS3 did. Yeah,
I was on board with it immediately because I was like, yeah, he looks like a Russian dude. I think he looks more Slavic here than in the original. I'm fine with that.
He looks more like how he does when he's old than he did in the original Snake Eater. It's fucking. He does, and I thought that was a cool touch.
Yeah, I love it. I'm totally okay with that. You know what's even crazy? Look, we don't have to get into this too much, but I think, and I was looking at a comparison photo, but I actually think Eva's jawline has been reduced in the remake. I'm not kidding. This isn't a bit. This isn't a joke. I saw a picture of the comparisons, and I was like, she looks kind of different here. And I like looked really close. I was like, holy shit. They reduced her jawline from the original. I'm not kidding. I'm serious. Look at a comparison photo.
No woke. No wokeification here.
Not here. You're going to have to find something else to bitch about because it's not going to be her jawline.
Reduced jawlines, 10 out of 10. No, one thing I did want to mention here, I wanted to kind of talk about
jawline gate.
Jawline gate. One thing I did kind of want to talk about was, I do think it is kind of obvious in the trailer that the OG voice lines do have this kind of uncanny feeling with the new models. Mm-hmm. But here's the thing that I want to say. I think you're going to have negatives on both options because there's two options. You either have new models and you do new voice lines to match up with them, or you have new models and you keep the OG voice lines. I think, if you have the OG voice lines, it's going to be a little uncanny. And if you have the new voice lines, it's going to match up better, but it's not going to capture the spirit of the original. I think capturing the spirit of the original is more important. And so I'm glad they did that anyways. And I think I'm okay with that negative, right? Like you got to take it a little bit.
Can I offer kind of a different perspective on that?
Well, before you say that, I do want to say the way I look at it is like, I think it's pretty obvious that it's uncanny from the outset. And I think especially from watching the production hotlines and them constantly reiterating that even though they're getting feedback that they think the game might be too close to the original, they're still choosing to go that way because they want to keep the spirit of the original game. That to me tells me that they saw that it was uncanny and they were like, we still got to, it doesn't matter. We got to keep it because they want to be so close to the original. And I think, again, like every time we've talked about Delta, I just think it makes me feel even better about this game.
I agree. The only thing I was going to say is when it releases, And when we're all playing it for the first time and probably within the first year, that uncanniness is going to be there.
Yeah.
But I actually think that 3 to 5 years later, that uncanniness is going to become something that we're more familiarized with in that interpretation. It will stop being uncanny and it will turn into charm. I don't think it'll be a downside. I don't think it'll be a negative, and I think it's going to age into the game in a way that makes people look on it retroactively even better. People are going to like it more. It's going to feel more charming. It's
Yeah.
going to feel more endearing. So I actually don't think I think it's an investment. I don't think it's a negative. I think it's going to end up being something that people end up liking more. So I see that as positives all around personally.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that's a good read on it. Yeah, it's I'm excited about it. I'm super excited about it. They didn't reveal a release date again. I think they're probably trying to I think the game is closer to being done than we think. They already said that the game is playable from beginning to end. They're just polishing things up, but I think they're waiting for Silent Hill 2 remake to come out. I think they don't want to take any of the attention away from that game yet, and only start their marketing of this game of Delta after that comes out.
Which I gotta say, guys, I see some comments saying that, they can't please everybody and there's always going to be nitpicks and everything. All that's true, but I'm telling you, comparatively speaking, it's not like there's no other developer even getting close to this level.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh wow, they're doing really good, but there's there is no competition.
Yeah.
Every other developer is like falling flat on their face and not understanding why their legs aren't working. It's bad. So I really hope you guys will, unless you see something that conflicts with your moral principles, buy this fucking game.
Yeah.
And show Konami when they're doing the right thing.
I think people are going to. I think there's a lot of people that, just like Silent Hill 2, have probably never played Metal Gear Solid 3 or even any of the Metal Gear games, and they're interested in them and they want to play them, but they find them inaccessible, even with the HD collection and the Master collection. I think there's just a lot of people that won't play games that feel that old. And so I think this, like Silent Hill 2 remake, is going to be fucking huge. I think it's going to be a massive moneymaker for Konami. I think both of these games are gonna really get them full on back into the game market rather than the mobile and the pachinko market. Well, with the pachinko market fucking dying, yeah.
I hope it's good. It looks good. I'm excited. I think I'm more excited for Delta than any other game I can think of right now.
Here, I'm gonna go to the bathroom real quick. I'll be right back.
All right, I'll read some comments while you're gone.
All right.
Let's see. Wife just tried to play Metal Gear Solid 2 off the collection and just could not wrap her head around its controls. That probably you probably could start her with Snake Eater, and it might be a little bit easier. I actually think Snake Eater is a little bit more newcomer friendly. It's a day one purchase for me, both as a big fan and because it's looking great. The experience probably won't be life-changing, but I'm happy to go back to that game with a fresh coat of paint. I agree. I'm really hyped about it as well. I think it'll probably be day one for me as well. The thing with old games, if I haven't played them at the time, I often can't do it at all. There is definitely something to be said for how nostalgia helps us overlook. Quick, Evan, tell us what TGG stands for while I was gone. You say that as if he's the one keeping the lid on it. Could be me. Could be me keeping the lid on it. Is Metal Gear Solid 3 the first in the timeline then? I'm assuming that's why they're remaking it and not MGS1. It is the first in the timeline, but that's not... I don't think that's why they're remaking it. I think they're remaking Metal Gear Solid 3 because it is the least... First off, it's one of the most popular. It is the fan favorite. It's my favorite. It's not Son's favorite, but most people think of Snake Eater as the best in the franchise. Also, Snake Eater, I think, is the least convoluted. 2, 4, and 5 are all incredibly convoluted and hard to get into, especially for newcomers. Solid, the original Metal Gear Solid is a little bit easier, but I think Snake Eater is the most straightforward, and I think that's a big reason why they're remaking it as well. Also, it's a little bit smaller than the other games, so it's probably going to be easier to remake. I think Metal Gear Solid was at its strongest when it was fixed camera, and the way the directors can do. Yeah, that might be true, but maybe. We all know that. Yeah, the System Shock remake is prime. It's some of the best we've ever seen in a remake. That might actually be one of the best remakes we've ever seen get released to the industry.
Total Goon Gamers. What are you talking about?
He's trying to figure out what the TGG is.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it is exciting. I'm excited for Delta. Do you want to talk about this? So I was bringing it up during our preamble, and you said that you had seen it. This law that they're trying to get passed in California.
That's right.
The law is AB 2426. Trying to get passed in California. The bill makes it illegal for sellers of any digital goods, games, movies, books, etc., to use terms like buy or purchase during a transaction without the inclusion of a warning about the potential impermanence of what they're paying for. So this would apply to live service games, you know? Well, maybe not live service games, but it would apply to games that can, always online games, right?
Mm-hmm. Mostly, but also people are thinking this is going to apply to just purchasing games in general, like even on Steam or on Origin. I think there's been instances of like Blizzard like banning someone from a game that they like single player games from that they purchased, like Lifetime, right? And that is like acting as if you're revoking a license from someone, even though they purchased a game from you. So it gets a little finicky. I don't know all the details, but I know that, I don't know if you booted up Steam recently, but I know that Steam just did that big thing. It's like, hey, we're changing some things. You have to settle for a new agreement and stuff like that.
Yeah, I was playing Persona 3 on my Steam Deck last night, and that popped up in the middle of a game. Full screen. Took me out of the game, took me back to the store page. I was like, what the fuck? Yeah, but I think this is probably a move in the right direction. Obviously, we've talked about the Stop Killing Games initiative on the podcast. We had Ross on a month or so ago, and I think this is not the whole way there. This is not exactly what Stop Killing Games is trying to do, but it's a step in the right direction, I think.
It's a step in the right direction on the wrong path. Unfortunately, it is continuing to normalize this idea that no one's really going to own games when they get them anymore. But I don't think there's any way off of that path. No. I don't think there's a better outcome.
No.
And I think this is the best we're going to get, unfortunately. So
yeah. It's a compromise. It's not the end goal, but it's something.
I will just, for many years, I actually was very anti-piracy. I was like, it's never been easier to buy something than it is now online. It's very easy to purchase something. Yet I was very, buy the product kind of deal. And the last 1.5 to 2 years has basically 180'd me into supporting piracy.
Yeah.
And that's bad because now I'm like, fuck, man. What there's that phrase that goes around that pretty much sums it up. It's like, if buying isn't owning, then pirating isn't stealing.
Yeah.
Have you seen that?
Yeah.
Try being poor. It will change your opinion on piracy. Oh, you must not have been here when I talked about the fact that I grew up impoverished in South Mississippi.
Yeah, I think we both have pretty...
I grew up on a farm. I didn't have high-speed internet until after Halo Reach was out, dude. I couldn't even see the internet.
No, we're just rich. We're just rich guys.
I was homeschooled on a fucking farm.
No, we both went to Yale, full ride. That's where we met, actually.
Yeah, we met at Yale. We were in the same frat.
Yeah, same frat at Yale, full ride. Didn't have a job until I was 25, actually.
Didn't need one.
Didn't
we're
need
on 30,000 a month allowances.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, that's I feel like I'm suffocating with that, you know.
How do you survive on that?
What can I do? Yeah, no. Yeah, I think I've never, I don't advocate for piracy because I don't think it's good to not pay. You know, I think it's mostly on the indie side that I think it really hurts people.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely think it hurts developers if you pirate any game, but I don't think I think use your brain. Use
your brain is a good way of putting it.
You're not dumb. If you're watching this show, you're definitely not fucking dumb. Okay.
If the IP holder isn't selling it, may as well fucking pirate it. If, you know, I mean, technically it is theirs to sit on and do nothing with, but at the same time, you know, whatever. Or another one that I go by is if purchasing it will not offer funds in any way to the people who created it, then may as well just fucking pirate it, you know?
Yeah. 100%.
Because like if you're gonna buy it secondhand on eBay, the only person benefiting from that is the guy who owns it. So it's not really, you're not giving money to the IP holder or the developer.
Honestly, I kind of think like if you don't have the money and you're not gonna have the money anytime soon, who fucking cares? You weren't gonna buy the game anyways. It's not like they lost a potential sale, you know? And fair
enough.
You know, it's effectively the same thing. If you don't have the money, you weren't gonna buy the game, so fuck it.
Yeah, he's speaking facts on there. Most people, like, it's something like 98% of every artist on Spotify makes next to nothing.
Yeah.
You have to buy like merch and stuff.
Yeah, 100%. That's how you actually have to go out of your way to support in those kinds of industries, you know. And you know, if you do make money and you pirate a game because you just want to try it, you don't want to spend the money. I mean, honestly, that's why I think things like the Steam refund is so good, because you can straight up try a game for 3 hours, and if you don't like it, you can refund it. And that's a valid reason for refunding, like in their system. You can just say the game was not what I expected. You know,
I did that once, actually.
It's not like you're working around the system. I don't do it very much. I'm not saying I think it's bad or anything. I just don't do it very much. But you can do that if you want to, you know.
Although I will say there's some games you can't pirate.
Yeah.
I recently tried pirating Syndicate from 2012 because there's no way to buy it. You can't emulate it on either emulator. They can't emulate it. And I tried to pirate a PC copy. There were two torrents available, and both of them had viruses. And after I removed the viruses, they couldn't even use them. They weren't usable. So that's a game that you can't buy. You can't pirate it. You can't have it.
Yeah.
There's no way to have it.
You can only buy it secondhand physical for consoles.
The only way you're playing Syndicate, unless you already own it on Origin, because they don't sell it on Origin anymore. So if you bought it when it was available, you can play it.
Yeah. Yeah. So you can't even pirate that one.
Nope, not that one.
I think, but I do think this law is, I don't know, like you said, it's I think, a step forward down the wrong path is probably the best way. Let's just hope the Stop Killing Games initiative goes through.
I agree.
That's our last
we're gonna need
chance.
That one. Shout out to our boy Ross.
Yes, go support Ross, the homie.
That's
homie. Right. The other thing I wanted to talk about, I didn't mention this at the beginning, I forgot, but I had this article here, was some news about Remedy this week.
Yeah, the loan from Tencent.
Remedy Entertainment ended up getting a 15 million euro. I think that's euro. I'm getting better at this. I think this one's euro. Am I right?
I don't think so.
You don't think so? Damn, fuck.
I don't think that's euro.
Is that pound?
I think that's Chinese currency.
No, that's... Wait, really? Fuck, dude. I don't, whatever. They got 15 million of whatever this
Just type
is.
it in Google and see what it is.
This?
You just copy it and paste it into your search engine.
Wait, hold on. Technical difficulties.
Sammy's saying it is euro. You might be right.
It's euro. I was right. Damn you.
Did you Google it? It is euro?
Yeah, it's euro.
You were right.
They got 15 million euros from Tencent as a loan. $16.76 million. Now, you know, we kind of talked about this a couple weeks ago. We were having a conversation about Remedy and kind of how they have been facing some troubles lately finding success with some of their projects. At least Alan Wake 2. And we were sort of talking about what their what moves they had going forward, what they kind of needed to do. But personally, I think this is a good move.
You think this is a good move? Yes.
At first, I was a little hesitant about it, but a friend of the show, Hidden Machine, had tweeted about it and said that this is a way for them to stay independent, while also having the finances to make games moving forward. And I think that's true. I think that's good.
I think this is either going to be the move that bails them out of hot water, or this is going to kill the company.
Yeah. No, it's a last resort technique for sure.
What do you think the interest is on a $16 million loan?
It's gotta be
because every year they don't pay that back.
It's from another company, so I can imagine that it's lower than what you would get at the banks. Like, I would imagine this is we're interested in your company's success, because Tencent does have a stake in them already.
Yeah. What does Tencent get out of this is what I'm wondering.
They have a stake in Remedy. So
so they did this to kind of help them so that they can continue to make more profit.
Maybe there isn't even an interest. I don't know. But I can't
if there's no interest, I will understand this move a little bit better. If this was an interest-free loan.
Yeah, I think Tencent has like a 2% stake in them or something.
If this was an interest-free loan, I can see this being a good move. But depending on how bad the interest is, this could fuck them indefinitely.
I mean, even if there isn't any interest, it could still fuck them.
It still could, yeah. That Control multiplayer is going to be hyper monetized.
But I doubt they could have done this without. They have a 14% stake in them.
They would have had to do some massive layoffs and shrink down to a AA studio to stay afloat.
I doubt they would have done this if they didn't have to. I assume things are pretty bad.
Definitely last ditch.
Yeah. So I would rather them do this than sell to somebody else that's going to force them to do heavily monetizing Control.
They might have to do that anyway.
I don't think they do, honestly. I think, like we were talking about last time, I think they just need to get Control 2 out. Like we said, I feel like their model is kind of like one for them, one for us kind of thing. One for the fans, one for the bigger audiences. And I think Control 2 is their bigger audiences thing. The first Control game did extremely fucking well. A sequel has been highly anticipated. I think that game's going to do really well. I think they're trying to bide their time until they get to Control 2. And maybe the Max Payne 1 and 2 remakes. Probably
never thought I'd say this, but it's probably better they took a loan from Tencent than it is they took one from BlackRock.
You never thought you'd say that?
Well, I just never thought I'd say it's better to take a loan from Tencent than anything.
Yeah, that's true.
But if it'd been BlackRock, you might be seeing the chick from Control get a little bit of a jaw adjustment.
Jawline gate.
Yeah, Jawline gate might be having another
entry. Is Control their most successful game? I think so. Yes, I would imagine so.
How can that be? I thought that game was woke because it had a female lead.
That's true. Didn't go broke.
Yeah, I remember that game came out and I didn't hear anything negative about it at all. I thought everybody liked that game.
Yeah, well, the woke.
But gamers are sweaty incels who won't play games if
the woke thing only started with Alan Wake 2. They got mad about that game.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I think they just got mad because it wasn't Alan Wake the whole time.
Yeah. Well, that's not what they got mad about, really.
I don't know. I didn't play the game.
Yeah, I know you didn't. That's why I'm saying.
I just don't understand why they weren't mad about Control.
Are you being? Do you want a real answer, or are we joking?
I was joking at first, but now I'm actually trying to think of it as like, because I remember that game came out and everybody I knew who played it was like, dude, this game is awesome.
Yeah, I don't think the woke thing wasn't as big. I mean, I don't think I haven't seen the rise of that like stuff in gaming seems to have been in the last like 3 years, people talking about it really heavily.
So all the people who care now just didn't care then? Is that?
I don't think they didn't care. I don't think they were as vocal.
So it's the same people then. I mean, this is all speculation, I guess. It doesn't
Maybe.
really.
I don't know.
Matter.
I think either or. Does it?
Well, it's just the game did really, really well, and this whole conversation in the last 2 years, it's like leading you to believe that any game that releases with a non-male protagonist is destined to fail.
No, but
also Control did really good.
Do we really need to have a? I mean, that's always been false. Like it doesn't. Because there's obviously an audience for games with female protagonists, and that's not saying like I need a game to have a female protagonist, because I like Control, but it just doesn't really factor in to me. As long as it fits in the story and the style, then I think I'm okay with it, and I think most people are too. I think the reason you didn't hear people complaining about it back then was because I think that like woke conversation culture war thing has started to really heat up, let's say, in the past few years. But I think the whole like gaming boycott thing, we've always said, just doesn't work, you know?
Yeah, I mean, that's true. Although, I mean...
So I think a game can obviously be really... I mean, fuck, Life is Strange was really successful.
But that game had a much smaller budget, I think. But, I mean, yeah.
I mean, I think if it had a bigger budget, it would still have been pretty successful. That game was really fucking successful.
Yeah, I mean, it was successful enough to spawn multiple sequels and spinoffs, so.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder why the Telltale games didn't do better.
I think they were in the beginning, you know? I think like
but the studio went fucking bankrupt.
Well, yeah, but I mean, that speaking from my experience, like I was into that when when Walking Dead came out, I was in high school or just started high school or something. I was pretty young, and that was extremely appealing to me, like that style of thing. And I just got super tired of it after a while. I think there was a massive amount of fatigue there.
Yeah, they just weren't changing things up, and everything was kind of the same.
Yeah, it was the same formula. They were pumping stuff out super fast. I think people just got really fatigued.
Is Quantic Dream still independent, or are they owned by Sony now?
That's a good question.
I think they just went independent, right? And that's when they put everything on PC.
They are owned by NetEase. They got bought out by NetEase in 2022.
NetEase.
Yeah.
I don't even know who that is.
They make a lot of games. They're making Marvel Rivals.
Actually. Oh, really? Okay. Yeah. Well, maybe that's a good sign.
They do a lot of like mobile online. I think they're a Chinese company. I could be wrong. Chat can correct me.
Well, I'm just super concerned because I'm a Quantic Dream fan. I like Quantic Dream games, and they're doing a Star Wars game right now, and I can't think of a better IP for Quantic Dream than that. A game about moral choices. You know, a game where my choices can lead characters to falling to the dark side or staying in the light, redemption. Like this is Quantic Dream. This is everything Quantic Dream could thrive with. And I just want to make sure that company stays around long enough to actually deliver that experience.
Yeah, well, I mean, dude, they haven't made a fucking game in 6 years, and Star Wars Eclipse isn't like coming out soon, you know?
It's projected 2028.
Yeah, so
I'm very concerned.
Yeah, what does it even mean to be a Quantic Dream fan at this point? It's, you know, it's like
there was less time between Beyond Two Souls and Detroit Become Human. I think there was only like a 3-year gap.
It was a 5-year gap.
5-year gap, yeah.
We've already surpassed that.
Yeah, it's because there's rumors everywhere that like Quantic Dream is struggling to stay afloat to finish this fucking game.
Yeah. Ash says all the people who didn't care then just realized they can monetize the outrage. I think you're making a joke, but I think there's certainly a true sentiment there. I think there's a lot of people that have monetized the outrage, that have sort of spread those sentiments a little bit more. I think that's a contributing factor. I'm not going to say it's the factor, but I think that's probably why you see more of it today. Some of the people, I'm not going to say every single person that's talking about it is a grifter or something, but I think some of them are.
No, they're all grifters.
They're all grifters. They must all,
in fact,
not believe.
Anyone who disagrees with me is a grifter. Anytime you see me and Son have a disagreement, that's when he's grifting.
Yeah, and it goes the same for Evan too. If we're disagreeing,
no, I never grift.
Well, to you, but to me,
jawline hating grifters.
Yeah, I think
jawline gate.
I don't like.
Let's make that a shirt. Let's make jawline gate a shirt.
We should. That's a good shirt. It's good.
That is a good shirt. It's just a right angle. It's just jawline gate. Get jawline gate.
That's pretty funny. I think yeah, because I do think it's disingenuous when people say like they're all grifting, you know, because that just shows you're not engaging with what they're saying at all. You're assuming that they could. There's no world where they could ever believe in this. They just are literally just doing it for the money. Now, I think there's people out there like that, but to say that that's everybody is like, it's stupid, right? Dumb.
And I do think it does a lot to minimize legitimate frustrations. Mm-hmm. I'll say that because I think that the final product of what we get a lot of times is overblown and not a good thing. But I think a lot of it is bred from a seed of justifiable frustration.
Yeah, for sure.
On both sides. You know, me and Son like to ride that center line as hard as we can.
We do. Fence post, sitting.
Yeah, we've set up a tree house on the fence.
Yeah, we've built a house now. It's not as uncomfortable as it once was on the fence. It's pretty cozy now.
It gets easier to stay here every passing day.
It always comes down to writing. When they try too hard and it shows, it's bad. Forspoken did pretty bad for how they portrayed the main character, who also happened to be female. Yeah, I think that's always the thing too. Like, right? Like there are good games with female leads. There are good movies with female leads. But it usually, you know, it's just a weird coincidence that usually the female lead fits into the story well and has a reason to be there. And that the times that it doesn't work is it's forced and it's unnecessary. Right.
Also, I think there's
has nothing to do with you know,
there is a weird thing that happens with. It's an unfortunate reality that female characters, they seem to need more justifiable reasons to be in high octane violent situations, just because of historically speaking the way the sexes are. And so I think people go into a lot of these scenarios with a more with a harder to attain suspension of disbelief. You know, I'm not saying it's fair or right, but I do think that that's a factor. I think if someone is going into a game about, you know, some kind of high octane violent, like a Doom game, and the main character is a female, they're less willing to give you the suspension of disbelief for that, just because of the way, historically speaking, what most of human history has shown us violence looks like. I'm not saying that's bad or good. I think that that's part of the thing. So when people are like, oh, this is poorly written, it's like, well, it's hard for the writer to write in their female character because it's so trepidatious now. They're like, I don't want to make it seem like I'm trying to appease this, but I also want to do this. They've gotten really weird. It's all in their head about it now. Because used to you'd have a game like Dino Crisis. It's like, oh, yep, she's the lead.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's
cool. Yeah, doesn't matter. But yeah, now it's trying to justify it and trying to, you know, all this stuff. It's fucking weird.
Or trying too hard not to justify it. That can also be a problem. Yeah. Trying too hard to avoid justifying it.
Before we get off of the Quantic Dream thing, I forgot that Quantic Dream published Dustborn.
I didn't know that at all. Really? Yeah. That's really funny.
Yeah.
David Cage is paying his penance for the things he said in court.
They have a thing called Spotlight by Quantic Dream, and it's like their publishing label thing, and they published Dustborn.
By the way, for those of you, did you play Beyond Two Souls?
Yeah, I did.
I thought that game did a really good job of making a game where the female character didn't feel like out of place or anything. I know a lot of people have issue with how she was written in that game, and there's some justifiable things, but she was flawed and she felt like a real person. That's a game I actually really liked that featured a female lead.
That game is a very interesting, fun, ambitious fucking mess, and it's amazing. It is. And that's kind of all of Quantic Dream's games. But yeah, I like Beyond Two Souls. I'm a Beyond Two Souls, Heavy Rain, Detroit Defender.
I love all of those games, but I think of the three of them, Beyond Two Souls has some of the most justifiable criticisms.
Yes. Yeah,
that game has a lot of problems in the writing and the mechanics and everything, because there's some choices for the characters that I'm like, yeah, but also we got Willem Dafoe in there. Yes. You know, I had a really good time with that game. I think that she was a character who never once did I feel like, oh, what's the agenda? Why is she?
You're
you know what I mean?
Shit list. Effective immediate.
Sammy A coming in with the 5 bones. Thank you so much. I know on the subject, but the first thing I thought when I saw Soul Reaver announcement was I can't wait for Friday's podcast. You boys always kill. Thank you so much. Yes, we were covering that in the beginning. Very excited. Might turn Evan into a Legacy of Kain fan, maybe.
Maybe. Oh well, no, I can't buy it now because the woke statue.
Oh,
so
yeah. I forgot
the woke statue. So I gotta boycott it.
I forgot. I'll be woke. Yeah, I can't. I'm not even gonna be able to cover it on the channel because of the woke statue.
The woke statue. Jawline Gate strikes again.
Jawline Gate. Another soul added to the list.
Soul Reaver.
Oh, before we wrap it up and stuff, I wanted to say there's a Death Stranding 2. There's going to be a 90-minute showcase for Death Stranding 2 at Tokyo Game Show on the 29th.
Let's go. We're closing in.
Very, very excited for that. 90 minutes.
Maybe there will even be some live streaming action for that.
Ooh. The thing about Tokyo Game Show is all the fucking reveals are at like 5 a.m.
Yeah. That's true.
I was looking up when all the showcases were and stuff because Sega and Atlas were doing one as well. They did one this morning, and I wanted to watch it, so I looked up the time and it was like 5 a.m. and I was like, do I really want to stay up for that? Good thing I fucking didn't, because there was nothing there. It was just them like talking about a bunch of games that they're published. Like it was just them talking about games they're already publishing and like some merch shit, It feels like TGS never really gets huge reveals anymore.
It doesn't. I don't think it does either.
It's never like a massive show to look forward to. At least, I mean, there's usually clarification on stuff you've already seen. It seems like it's pretty fun to go to because they always have good demos, like on the show floor and stuff. Like you can play Delta there, you can play Silent Hill 2 Remake there, but it's not beating the Game Awards for like the biggest reveals, and that's not saying a lot because the Game Awards is usually pretty shit.
It's pretty bad, but Kojima particularly always likes to save his reveals for Jeff Keighley-san.
That's true. I am expecting to see a Death Stranding 2 release date at Game Awards.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Assassin's Creed Dropout. That's funny. Yeah, they dropped out of Ubisoft dropped out of Tokyo Game Show right at the last minute, and then they announced that their new game was delayed.
That's tough.
And they're fucked now, in my opinion. With Shadow or with Ghost of Yotai being announced.
Yeah,
they're fucked. Like who's gonna play Assassin's Creed? I mean, there's gonna be people, but like,
of course. I'm sure the game will sell some copies, but will it recoup its budget?
Yeah, I think I don't know. That's the big question, and I think with that indirect competition, I don't know. I don't think it spells very well.
It's looking bad. I think Shadows is going to perform infinitely worse than Star Wars Outlaws did, and
Yeah.
Star Wars Outlaws wasn't the biggest game for them either.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not looking good for Ubisoft.
Ubislop.
Ubislop. All right. With that, I think it's probably time to wrap up. What do you got coming out?
Nothing today, but next Friday, for those of you watching can look forward to my full compilation of every Dragon Ball Z game on the Sony PlayStation 2. It's dropping next week. Maybe you've seen a few of them. Maybe you've seen the Tenkaichi videos. Maybe you've seen the Infinite World video. But now you can watch all of them. And there's even an additional game that I haven't made a video on that I'll be covering at the end of that video. So you're going to want to tune in for that and just let it run in the background. Drop a like, leave a comment. Let me know you were there next week. Next Friday.
Engagement.
What about you?
I have a worst Steam games video coming out Sunday. If you want to watch it early, go subscribe to the Patreon. I will have that video up either tonight or tomorrow. It's a pretty good one, actually. I'm pretty proud of this one. A lot of cool. It's sometimes I don't love those that much because I just feel, I know people like seeing me talk about just boring games or whatever, but sometimes I'm like, man, like this one just had a lot of stinkers and it didn't really have a lot of interesting stuff. But it felt like there was a lot of interesting projects that I could talk about for a while. And there was also like one game in there that I was like, I actually recommend this game, which those are few and far between in this series. It's usually shit. It's usually junk. There was one game in there that I was like, you know what? Check this one out. So go check out the worst Steam games video on Sunday, or you can watch it early on Patreon. And then I'm working on the Death Stranding video right now. So I'm playing through Death Stranding, having a grand old time. I'm as happy as a pig in shit.
He is strand typing his way.
I'm strand typing. I'm listening to strand type beats. I'm watching strand type movies. You know.
He's cozy Amazon delivering his way
to the future.
You're reconnecting America.
Yeah, reconnecting America. And then I think I'm probably going to stream sometime this week. I'm going to play Hollow Body. Maybe I'm going to wait to start. I want to stream Silent Hill 2 before the remake comes out, but I'm going to wait. I think I'm going to wait to start that. I think we got some time.
You guys got some big content from the TGG boys.
Oh yeah. Like we always say, this is the end of the show, but it doesn't have to be the end of you listening to us, because
hanging out with us,
thousands of hours of content. Yeah, hanging out with us.
You need buffers. You need buffers between now and next Friday.
Yeah, you have a lot. Listen, if you haven't seen any of our content, or if you haven't seen all of it, you got a lot to go through. So get over to Evan's channel, get to my channel, start watching, listen to us ramble, rant, and rave. And we will see you next week. Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you, everybody, for coming out. Thank you, Evan, for joining me, as always. Bye-bye.